Hey, hi. This was a little bit important. I wanted to put it through a live stream so I have it recorded and I can share it with you. Watch this video with me if you would. I know a lot of you are not on the platform that shall not be named, owned by the man who shall not be in Doge government, whatever. I know a lot of people don't like this platform. So I'll bring you news that is important from this platform. This is important news. A lot of people I know love and trust this podcast. And I love the people who are interviewed on the podcast. And that's what I'll say. This is one of the people who was interviewed on the podcast who I saw on this podcast. And then also I saw this person on, mentioned in here, there's a Penny Shepherd podcast. I saw this person on both of those at the same time. Made up my mind about this person. Heard that this person, Brad, had known some people that were in my story or mentioned in parts of my story or just something, you know, I just dots that were interesting in connection. So I wanted to research who this person was. And so I remember watching this about 3-hour interview live, not live, but like not long after it had been recorded, actually. Yeah. So not long after, but not live. And I researched the things that Brad talked about in this 3-hour interview, and they were all very interesting. And I remember, I don't have it now because of, you know, ADHD and notes, but I remember taking a lot of notes, like dots of things that were mentioned because of my own story. I was piecing things together and memories that I had, and it was like every time something like that was mentioned, I was like, oh yeah. And when he talks about the Sharon Tate house and Full House and Fuller House, and mentions that the house that Roman Polanski lived in and then posed with, I mean, you'll hear it. I mean, there's some things I had forgotten all about those things, and they're all like giant dots that we need to be paying attention to. And this was his ex-wife that brought him these, you know, experiences with her child acting or their marriage and different stuff. Like this original interview with Brad Conley was one of the most interesting interviews I watched on her channel, along with the Annika, is it Annika Lucas? Apologies, I love you, and sorry about your name if I messed it up. And then there was Katie Navi and Jennifer Guskin and so many people that were on that channel that I was like, these stories are huge and they have dots. And Brad was one of them. He's a lawyer. And then he had to turn whistleblower because of what happened to him. And when I say happened to him, I don't mean necessarily like sexual Me Too. I mean like different types of abuse, if I'm allowed to use that word. Hope I don't get kicked off live stream here. But like different types of that were like false domestic calls, actual domestic on him, actual domestic on children, false claims of stalking, damaging reputation, all while doing the things that were being, you know, said that he was doing. And everybody that he talked to, professors, tenured professors, Elizabeth Loftus, names that if you research what they are studying are very interested in what is going on because they're on campus and they're watching it and then they're hearing what she's saying. That's my perspective from hearing this interview and talking to Brad. And so I'm hearing this and I'm like, man, that's really connected. That's the universities. That's high level universities, because I think he's talking about the Department of Education that teaches the future teachers or future psychiatrists or future whatever. I think they award PhDs at UCI. So I'm, you know, if she's a tenured professor, his ex-wife, and she's doing the things that he's talking about, like, that's really bad. And I thought mandated reporting and stuff. So like it brought a lot of questions up, and then I tried to validate them by researching and stuff. And I was able to validate and not find Brad to be lying, trying to lie, trying to grab attention, trying to grift. I found him to be like a survivor trying to piece his story together. It never seemed like anything, like I was in danger by researching him, and I felt that way on some places. I've never gotten any sort of like, wow, that was really wild that she was willing to talk to him. And then all of a sudden there was a big blow up. I was a part of it, whatever. I didn't try to be. I asked somebody if they knew of a person that while we were all on a spaces, Brad had hosted a spaces because there was a blow up. I asked somebody if they had seen this person, and I put a face up because he was talking about false memory syndrome foundation, which he mentions Dana Duda, and everybody in this group that he mentions, they're all circling around the research of false memory, and I had been researching it from, my wake-up perspective, not only knowing about it, but researching it. So my story connected with this person who was on the live spaces with us, and I said, he's talking about this person. I sent a post. Do you recognize this person? I can't tell you what happened on the other side of the screen, but it went silent from her side while Brad was still talking to other people. It went silent from her side. She didn't comment, she didn't post, and then all of a sudden she starts talking and says, wait, Elizabeth Loftus? What is this? And then signs off and then blows up, starts defaming me, calling me, bringing killers into the network. I'm all these horrible things. I have a bad business. I'm an awful person. And, okay, I'm sorry you dislike me. I guess you didn't recognize the person but thought I was dangerous. I'm sorry. The person was like Peter Fried, Pamela Fried's husband, they started the False Memory Syndrome Foundation because their daughter, Jennifer Fried, said that, during her professional research, I believe she's a doctor also, very educated, during her professional research, learned that she also had been abused because she was uncovering these memories and piecing things together, and then named her dad as the abuser. And instead of talking about that as a professional, they just created a foundation to say your memories can be falsified because your brain will do these things. Okay, but did you do the thing? Like, that might be good research, but did you do the thing? Like, if you did the bad thing, then my memories aren't false. If you didn't do the bad thing, then we have to discuss why I have these memories. They might not be false. It could have been somebody else. But we can't just go, oh, you have bad memories of me. You belong in this institutional new discussion that we're going to create because you are a mental patient. And that's basically what happened. And Loftus signed in for that and was on the board. I think Jolly West was on the board. Go watch Dana Duda. Go watch anything you can about false memory syndrome. The Elizabeth Loftus talks about the Lost in a Mall, or she did the Lost in the Mall study with some other people, and that was highly controversial. Well, Brad knows this person because during his case with his ex-wife, who was a child actress on Full House, Fuller House, Children of the Corn, Family Ties, other things. Great actress. Cute actress, super sweet, looks like a wonderful person, and then broke mentally and then went back to acting. Well, I'm going to let you listen to this video and I'm going to stop talking. But that person is who he had trouble with in his marriage. She was claiming things and saying things, and Brad says those things weren't happening, and he was watching his children believe her lies, and he was like, this is dangerous, and that's not what happened. I know that's not what happened. Now, I'm believing the man over the woman, yes, but I've researched receipts, I've researched stories, I've watched both of them talk live, I have not talked to her, and I don't not want to. I just don't know how to, and I don't want to disrespect her. But I'm willing to. But from what I've seen, she looks like she was a beautiful person, is a beautiful person that maybe had a break that I don't necessarily think was her fault. And then whatever happened for that caused a personality shift in what he's discussing. They sound like they were beautifully in love and had a wonderful relationship, and then Hollywood called her again after the UCI tenure thing wasn't working because she was too good. So that's sad for her, sad for him, sad for their children who are very much in need of protection because of how intelligent they are. Look at the parents. And all of a sudden, Brad's the bad person everywhere. It makes no sense to me, and I've asked, I've researched, I've tried to find, I can't find where There's proof of it, like in the offender researches. I can't find any court researches. I can't find anything problematic. So I'm confused, unless this is some sort of a targeted something, why his story that's so interesting and connected to everything is so dangerous that the largest library of MKUltra survivors, who was at the time talking to family court people and survivors of the family court and whistleblowers of all different kinds of industries, and not only CPS but also the parental organizations in general, talking to Megan Walsh, talking to all different kinds of survivors, and discussing the most horrendous abuses and claims, and large claims with large names that I believe. But I'm curious as to why this clip in this 3-hour interview about this clip was so dangerous that I, by talking to Brad, was bringing killers into the network. And Brad being on this podcast was bad for survivors, so it needed to be deleted. So as a marketing manager, and I've said this to Brad, we've said this in our conversations, you can watch everything real stream while I'm learning the information that I'm learning now. You can watch his full interview here. You can go back on his Twitter where he says everything publicly and how he doesn't like to do DMs because then you can keep everything publicly and have receipts. He says all of this stuff. And I'm talking to Brad about these details, and I'm seeing that his information has been deleted, but it would have a lot of dots for a lot of people. It had for mine. It's not more dangerous than anybody else's. And I'm seeing SEO campaigns and contrived bully campaigns, and you must block this person because this person is dangerous to the survivor movement. Well, if we all need information, then even the danger, do you block the FBI also? Does every single person who has blocked Brad for being dangerous to the survivor movement because he posts receipts, talks in public, and has a very connected story, also block NCMEC, FBI, all these other places? Do you block all of these organizations also? Because there's something I'm seeing is you're willing to see that someone said, he's dangerous. I've watched all of this in real time. So unless you have private behind the scenes information that has not happened real time, that I was not involved in, because I've been involved since the spaces happened that it all blew up on, I don't understand why he's dangerous, but it takes this person and the other person who shall not be named. That is such a valuable resource to the survivor movement. Everybody knows this person's name in some way, shape, or form, and many people are scared of this person because he labels himself as a former Delta assassin. Apparently is married to this podcaster and has weaponized opinions. And I've never had any words with this person directly, so I'm not throwing any shade that I have not seen myself online. But the ad hominem attacks and the direct misuse of any words possible that are then put over top of Brad is dangerous. So they will reshare their opinions of why Brad is dangerous, and their opinions is that Brad is dangerous, and their reasons why Brad is dangerous is because they don't like this person and this person and that person, and Brad is dangerous, and so they'll reshare those tweets. And then when they say Brad is dangerous, other people go, I'm so glad you warned me. Thank you. I'm so glad you warned me. And then they're blocking, I assume, Brad. And then later on, someone with a brain will go, well, wait, later, why is Brad dangerous? And they will reshare that, well, Brad is dangerous, or because he won't stop harassing me. And then people will go, oh my God, I'm so glad you let me know. and this happens like every other day, every week, every month, whatever. It's been going on for like 2 years because I was on the original Spaces when it happens, not Twitter battling, oh my God, I'm a pick me. I was in it. I had it happen to me, and then it kind of died down because I didn't attack back. I just blocked this podcaster. I told this podcaster, you are not a safe environment. As a survivor who you want on your podcast, I do not feel that your environment is a safe environment because you and others want me to tar and feather somebody that I met through your network because somebody that I have never actually spoken to doesn't like me because I posted a picture and said, do you recognize this person? That's why I'm dangerous. That's why I'm a pick-me. Because I asked if you knew the person that started the false memory syndrome, because I had another survivor I was speaking to, who I won't name because I don't think she's told this story, but we were discussing and putting our dots together. She referenced a person who looked like him in that area at that time as her child psychiatrist in an office that I could kind of sort of at the time verify he would have been in that area. And I also have memories like that from that same year. So this person who was on the Spaces that blew up and thinks I'm a pick-me for being dangerous also had stories from Northridge, and I had read them and respected her stories and heard her interviews on this podcast and thought, wow, I wonder if her stories of the mansions and the spiral staircases, I think she said, or Northridge or whatever it was, like I have those flashes. I should talk to her. So I've been following her and trying to figure out like what pieces of her story maybe help mine or not, or this or that or the other. I wasn't, like I had engaged with this person to maybe tell her story on what I was working on and we could help people put puzzle pieces together. But like I wasn't trying to step on anyone's toes or do anything or make any alliances. I literally was like, hey, do you recognize this person? And she didn't. She then called, later in some inflammatory posts, she called Brad dangerous to the Survivor Network because he knows the lawyer for Ghislaine Maxwell. Elizabeth Loftus is who she's referring to. She spelled her name wrong, didn't call her Dr. Loftus, didn't call her the right name at all, but said she was a lawyer, not true, and that she was Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer, not true. So what happened is, and you can Google search it, but you can also listen to what Brad says, is that, and I don't think he says it in Emma's interview, but he says it in many other places, and you can research it for yourself, that Elizabeth Loftus is a very impressive researcher at UCI who helped him with those memories. His ex-wife was helping her children know that he knew didn't happen, and she is an expert on memories. So before he interviewed with Emma, before they were divorced, before anything was going on, that he knew what was going on of any sort of a cover-up, he knew his children were remembering things that didn't happen, that were dangerous for them and their family, and he wanted to talk about it, and he's sitting in an environment where there's professors of giant stature, and one of them happens to be Elizabeth Loftus. Look her up and why that's important. She's a memory genius. And that's her study, false memory possibilities. So can they happen? Do they happen? How do they happen? Why do they happen? What can we do about them? Do we want them to happen? Can we use that? And then she testifies on behalf of people who are, she's an expert witness because of those details. And then she is called upon as an expert witness because of those details in her stature of education to say on stand for whoever pays her, this is what happens in the brain. Now, whoever pays her can ask questions like, is it true that someone could think a false memory? And she'll say the truth. Memory can blah, 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 blah. Does she specifically go up there and say, Ghislaine is innocent because she did da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? No. Does she hold picket signs outside and like pretend to be her lawyer and fight on her behalf? No. She says what she knows. And I'm not saying she's good, bad, evil, innocent, right and wrong. I don't know her. I'm not taking her side, and I do not like the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Glad it's defunct. And I have questions. But she's not what these people said, and I'm not dangerous because I also Google search and know what I read. Somebody Google searched, didn't know what they read, got freaking triggered as all get out, and this all blew up. This person that I'm referencing that blew this up was one of the top interviews, flying monkey supporters of this podcast. One had 11,000 followers, one had 30,000 followers, and if one posted, the other posted. They were you love your sister situation. So if that person had a problem with me, it was going to be difficult for Emma to want to bring me on. So I was ignored for a little while, a few days. And then I saw how dangerous the network was and why people were telling me how horrible I was and they needed to block me, finding things off of the other platforms and talking about them, about me, naming me, calling me names that didn't align with what I was doing. And I'm a survivor. I was on this network because I was trying to tell my story, share my story, get my story together, and just piece my details together because I have a large, weird story. That's it. That's all I was trying to do. So I wasn't trying to make alliances, and they were doing that to me because I happened to hear from their network about this person, Brad, and the details that he knew about Elizabeth Loftus, which I had been researching. And then it all culminated in this podcaster deleting the 3-hour interview with Brad, which I do not believe she herself has ever deleted another interview because it was dangerous for survivors. She has claimed that other interviews have been deleted by them and things and stuff. I get that. Whatever, I get how YouTube, Rumble, things, moving files, stuff like that, new channels, I get it. But there's ones that when we moved new channels of people that she has problems with, that she has discredited, that she says that are still up there. But Brad's is dangerous, and we need to have a targeted, go search anything she said about Brad in the last 3 years for yourself on this platform, and it will be, he is harassing me, he is harassing me, he is dangerous, he needs to stop harassing me. The husband will jump in and go, he has been harassing my wife. And then go search what harassment Brad has done to these two. When you search their names on his page for the last 3 years since the interview was deleted, you will see a copy and paste of research of the lies those people are telling about him, the issues of those lies, why that's connected to his case, and receipts that he has because of what he said in the interview, what he's doing, all these things, right? So it's not harassment. You hate, I hate, blah, blah, blah. It's not harassment. I don't think you'll see any of that, but read it for yourself. I have not seen any of that. I've seen it from the other side to him. How horrible he is. He's a predator. He's dangerous. He's awful. He shouldn't be around children. He can't be trusted around children. I've seen all of those things. He's a great father. He raised really great children, and the proof is in the pudding of who they are. There is no proof that anything that they are saying is true, and now they're going as far as to say that Brad is dangerous because his ex-wife is an SRA victim, and Brad is dangerous. Number one, Brad has said, I don't know that she is. I don't think she is. She didn't tell me she is. I don't know that she is, and if she was, that would be awful. I know she was a victim of other types of abuse from a young age and Hollywood, but I don't know anything about that, and I can't claim it. He's been very honest every single time. And now they're saying just blanket statements like that to make it look like Brad would be attacking an SRA survivor. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. This is a group who is the largest audience of MKUltra survivors, the support, and the love ya sister, and the crowd of empathy because of everything that you've been through has attacked myself. And there's people who wanted my help, wanted my story, liked me, liked what I was saying, liked everything I was doing, and then blocked me without even asking me a question because that person told me to. So think for yourself. don't judge any of the guests on this podcast because of anything I'm saying. But this podcaster is a master hypnotist, master NLP practitioner. I don't know if she ever took clients or anything, but I know at one point she bragged about being a master and how long it takes to study that and what she wanted to study. And then at another point when it was brought up that she's the MK Ultra library and she's a hypnotist, that's weird. She's like, I took one course. So I'm not sure exactly where her career went with that, but I know she understands it. And I know that I didn't at the time. I worked in podcasting. I worked in video production. I worked in skincare and marketing, beauty realm of all of that, reels, movies, all of those things. And I would not watch a podcast, and I had about a 7-second attention span for a video of my own. And when I came across her podcast, it not only attracted me and pulled out dots of my own story, which was great, but I was like sucked in. I had to watch every interview of hers, all 6 hours, every person, all of it. I had it up on this screen while I was working, and I was watching all of it. 6-hour podcasts and videos. And people say, but she can't, there's no way she could be NLP because she doesn't even talk. Watch the movie. I think it's either called Hypnotized or Hypnotist. It's got Ben Affleck in it. I'm not saying the actors are great. I'm not saying the movie is great. I'm saying watch it because it's got that piece. How simple it is for someone to get you under their control. And once you're under their control, it's not like you wear a bright hat of sorts or things and you know it and you're like, oh no, I'm under someone's control. No, then you're under their control and you're just doing the thing. So I'm just putting those dots together, and now I'm going to be quiet, pop this up here, and I want you to watch this with me. This is 11 minutes of very important information that I think every survivor might be interested in who's studying MK Ultra, child acting, Hollywood, corruption on the sets, the Manson murders, any of that. He lists it out here. Let me just read his post, and then I'll play it for you, and I'll get my ugly mug off here, okay? Brad Conley, at JB Conley on X. People and places, institutions mentioned in this 11-minute clip from my 191-minute interview that Emma Catherine not only deleted but also scrubbed from the internet. People, Penny Shepard, Allison Mack. Look these people up in their stories. Penny Shepard, Allison Mack, Dana Duda, which is Rotting Jewels on YouTube. I love her. Charles Manson. If you don't know the Manson murders and you're watching this, you need to do that research. Sharon Tate, also involved in that. Roman Polanski. Jeff Franklin from Full House and Fuller House. Bob Saget. Look up his wife in Widow Talk right now. Sorry for your loss. Matthew Perry. Places and institutions. Hollywood, UC Irvine, Orange County School of the Arts. He calls it OSHA. NXIVM. Remember the cult? 150 Cielo Drive. Know where that is? Look up Helter Skelter. And who else has used that address? Lucky Soundstage 24, IMDb, and Life magazine. Also, his wife was, I think, around this time interviewed by People magazine. So we're not talking like this person was unknown and why is he speaking. We're talking UCI tenured professor, child actress, back in Hollywood, and why that's important. Says, I have the audio of the interview because Red Pill Mom found a single copy in Sweden that Emma missed. Emma complains about soft censorship, shadow bans, and even her deleted YouTube channel. But she deleted my interview, the only one of over 500. What did I say that was so dangerous? Who doesn't want you to know what I said? I've gotten a lot of dots out of it. If you have a story, you need to watch this interview. It might not be the most salacious interview that you've ever watched, but there's dots. Emma said she deleted it to protect survivors from me. Do you still believe her? P.S. The rest of the interview, about 180 minutes, that Emma deleted contains firsthand info just like this. I retract nothing. P.P.S. Marianne Barnard inspired me to post this. And if you don't know who that is, please look up her name and Roman Polanski and then go say some prayers for that woman and that Roman gets what he deserves. So before I play that, I'll say FYI, I mentioned you, Shepard Out and Dana Duda in this post about a clip from my 2023 interview with Emma Catherine, the Imagination podcast. I also mentioned Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski, Charles Manson, Bob Saget, Allison Mack, and some other people. Then he posts, Marianne Barnard, who inspires me to caption and post the clip, petitioned the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to revoke Polanski's membership. The Academy expelled Polanski from its organization in May 2018. Polanski sued the Academy to have his membership reinstated, but a California judge upheld the Academy's decision in August 2020. Thank you, Fox Blog, for that. And then there's a post about Marianne here. So I'm going to play this for you. Let me pull it up big screen. If this is interesting, please come to JB Conley on X and watch the full interview. I think he's going to be posting it somewhere else. I don't know. And then if you can't get on X because that, let me know.
The thing that I didn't want to forget was the other thing that made me so when I
hold on.
I think it was I don't know if it was right when I asked her to marry me or if it was a little bit before, because it definitely wasn't after because they were deal breakers. And so it was like this. She said, I only want to get married if we're going to have children, but I don't want to have an only child. And I don't want to have 4 children. It says she was one of 4. So 2 or 3. But that was how she put it. You know, I don't want 1, I don't want 4. So 2 or 3. And I was like, well, that sounds perfect. I would like children too. And you're a nanny, or you were, and you know all about kids, and I don't. And I didn't feel like my childhood prepared me to do it well. And then, but the other one was, and she said, and our children will never, ever, ever, no matter what, work in Hollywood. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Because, I mean, she had worked in it, and I'd kind of lived in it. And both of us were, you know, we were sort of on like this redemptive kind of path in life. Like, hey, we found each other at our bottoms, and it's bad, but we're here and we're alive and we're young and we're smart and we're going to do some stuff, you know, we're going to go for it. And so which, and then just generally Hollywood.
Remember,
so
this is 2023.
That business. It just wasn't really something to talk about. And I didn't like to talk about it much because I don't like to talk about famous people too much or people like that, because it makes me feel bad about myself. Like, I feel like if I put them on a pedestal, then where am I? And so I don't like it. And then the other thing was I just lived kind of with them, with people that did that professionally, to where it's like the last thing that people want is to do at home what they're doing at work. It's even kind of like that here at UCI. People, because I live in the community that's adjacent to it, and it's an entire zip code of, it's basically professors and families. So when people are up here, you know, they'll talk about whatever, but people want to have like a regular life. They want to go to the park with kids. They want to do, you know. So for those reasons, there wasn't any real attraction to anything about Hollywood. We were doing totally different things. But now, like, given what happened and the way that it broke, and then the way that it is now, and the position that I feel like I'm in, and a bunch of other things that I know about her stage parents and things that were said, and her siblings, you know, a lot of stuff. And especially based on what other people have said, you know, it makes me think a whole lot different about not Hollywood. I mean, a few things. It makes me really suspicious what happened. And like Penny Shepard has said, like, just look at her filmography on, you look at the things she was in and the roles they had her playing. But Man, I lost my train of thought. I knew it was going to happen.
No, you're okay. We were just talking about her path as, this almost dual life in a sense where you didn't really think a lot about it until later on when you started learning,
I remember what it was. Yeah. Sometimes it's like I lose the train of thought, but sometimes it's like, it's not just like I can't remember what I was going to say. It's like I really wanted to say that because I felt like it was important.
Yeah.
And that was this kind of train. So the thing that I didn't want to forget was the other thing it made me think is like she was a good mom before she wasn't. And she really was. I mean, she really was. So, which makes it even more tragic and sad. But for whatever reason, she had a sense that that was super important for whatever it was, whether it was because of some kind of abuse or just that she thought that that all added up, that that's no place for a child, just because, I mean, if it's bad enough to watch it, imagine how bad it is to make it. So I don't know, but she did that. It's also one of the things that well, here, can I just like for a minute tell you something, just because it kind of came up and I don't think it would otherwise. So she even went back on that herself. So she ended up going back and acting one more time because she was a recurring character on Full House. I think she was on 4 episodes, so not part of the regular cast, but on it. And she has the distinction of being the only character in Full House that they talked about more than was on screen. So I think she feels like she should have gotten some royalties for it because they were always talking about her, even though she wasn't on the show.
Wow.
But anyway, she even, so not only like she didn't want her own children to go in it. And that was what we talked about. We didn't ever talk about her ever doing it again because she totally quit. I mean, she retired before she went to high school. And then while at high school, she helped start Orange County School of the Arts. It's called OSHA. It's big now. It's also the school that Allison Mack went to,
NXIVM track.
Exactly. Yeah, she went to her high school. But anyway, so she had totally retired. So we weren't even thinking she would do it. But in 2016, after all of, after I discovered what I discovered and the crazy stuff, it's before the divorce though, she went and she appeared in an episode of Fuller House. And that she wasn't going to do. And it was really weird that she did it because she had been reclusive on top to saying she never wanted to do that again. And the creator of the show was this guy, had been badgering her for a while. And I didn't think that much of it, but she was telling me like he keeps calling me because they had started that show back up. And we didn't talk about it much. I don't like talking about it. So I didn't discuss it much, but she'd say, Jeff, gosh, what's his name? Now I'm forgetting it. It doesn't matter. His first name is Jeff, whatever his name is. But he's the creator of the show, Full House and Fuller House. And he was just badgering her. That's what she was saying. He's calling her. And then so finally she said she was going to do it. And I thought, well, all right. And then she did, but she was doing the things that she said she wasn't going to do. And then just as a weird thing, whatever that guy's name is, Jeff, he owned, I just found this out in the last few months, but I found out he owned 150 Cielo Drive, which is the house. So he owned for 20 years, he owned the house where the Manson murders were, where Sharon Tate was murdered, where Roman Polanski was in front of it with her blood on the door, taking a picture for Life magazine. And I think our friend Dana, she's doing great research on that now. It's sort of just like a tangent, kind of weird way that my world connects with a different world. But like that guy, Jeff, he was good. Franklin, that's the guy. Yeah, Jeff Franklin, that guy. So Jeff Franklin, he was also really, really good friends with Bob Saget. And if you know about Bob Saget, then there's that whole thing. And these people are all on the set, you know. It's also the sound stage where Friends was filmed, you know, and Matthew Perry just died and what happened with that. But they would call it the lucky sound stage because, you know, there was Full House, which was a big hit. Then immediately, like the next thing was Friends. And then when Friends wrapped, then Fuller House goes on. And then it was also, I think it was the Oval Office for West Wing too. Which there's lots of sound stages and all kinds of junk. Like very few things, you know, would be not necessarily good, but big enough to where we would talk about it and you would know what I was talking about. So, maybe it's just kind of interesting, but to me, it's weird that this guy who hasn't done much, except for he was the creator of Full House, had enough money to have, you know, like a home that it's like $50 million or something. I mean, in the end, what it sold for. And how does this guy have that house and what's he doing and what's the deal? You know, because there's like the stuff that gets made and it's on TV, but then there's all the other stuff, whatever it is that they're doing in between. So, I mean, that's something to look into if somebody wants to. I don't know. Or maybe I don't know. Just seems weird to me that of all people, Bob Saget's buddy is the one who owns that house that's that expensive. And I mean, he's the guy who came up with Full House. It's just weird to me.
That is a crazy story. You do have just like all these overlapping things. And going back to those two ultimatums that your wife gave, you know, in the beginning, and how much different they can sort of appear now in hindsight. And so you guys ended up actually having 3 kids. So talk about maybe when did things start to change for the worse? When did you start to notice, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel like the person that I married? And maybe walk us through what led to the divorce.
What happened? Oh, that's the end of the clip. That's right. Well, silly me. Here I was thinking I was watching the whole interview. So I'm going to let you go. I think that was important. You notice how she was behind him and supportive. And one more thing I want to pull up here. I'm going to pull this main stage up here. Do you notice over here, if you turn your head and you look next to Brad's face in this red box, it says, what does that say? Real Sarah Vernon. And at JB_Conley. So that's where you can find Brad on both of his accounts. This was her original artwork that she posted on the original interview that she made, that she then deleted because it was too dangerous. So I don't know what was in that information that was too dangerous for survivors to know. Let me know what you think about that. But if you notice, because this is a big deal in the movement, Brad is dangerous. I forgot about this earlier because he had a sock account that was pretending to be female and luring in survivors. And on the interview, she shares they talk about that and why he has that account to protect his children. Real names, you know. What the real Sarah Vernon means, like real Sarah Connor. And then what, like it wasn't, nobody didn't know it wasn't him. He never said it wasn't him. He just didn't use his real name up top. And she posted it. So she knew about it. She told people to go find him on that account, which means she approved of him using that account. And then in 24, when all of the explosion happened in Brad's Dangerous and I'm Bringing Killers into the network by asking him questions about Elizabeth Loftus, it became a big deal because Brad has a sock account of a male pretending to be a female and he's luring people in. That was what Gray said. Go find it on X. That's the problem. That's the original problem. So on this header that she made, she knew about that account, didn't think it was a bad thing. And then her husband a year later decided it was a bad thing and has defamed Brad ever since because of that. And then, you know, on this side, it just says where to find her. So her original, you know, channels and stuff. And then it got deleted about a month after all of that exploded. Her first, you know, strike situation happened and her whole channel got swiped and she had to re-upload everything. And she just never re-uploaded Brad's interview. So she deleted it off the first channel, wiped it from every podcast that it had, you know, sent itself out to, whatever you call that, I forget right now, broadcasted it out to all the channels, pulled it from everywhere except one. So go watch that. It's on Brad's page over here on X. You can find it. I don't know if he has it pinned, but you'll find it in his media, and he'll probably link it in that thread, so you'll find it. It's easy to find. It's an audio clip, but you can search full interview, my interview with Emma, things like that. It'll pop up. Very important, okay? Very important. Thank you for being here.